is Lee Liebfart from PowerZone Trading, and I'd like to welcome you to the P1 Strategy Architect video series. This series of instructional videos is intended to introduce you to the P1 Strategy Architect, which is available exclusively for the TradeStation platform. Our goal today is to create a robust day trading strategy for the E-mini S&P. In this video, we're going to go over how to create the search from scratch using the P1 Strategy Architect. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is go to the app section and open the P1 Strategy Architect. It should have its own icon, and this will open up, and we're just going to position this in the upper left corner of our workspace. Next, we're going to go back to the apps and open a chart analysis window. Once this chart analysis window opens, we're going to go ahead and resize it so it fits nicely within our workspace. The next step is that we're going to go to the data and we're going to choose the data that we want to analyze for the search. As I mentioned previously, we're going to be looking at the E-mini S&P. So we're going to use the symbol @ES, which is the continuous contract. We're going to set this to a 15-minute bar. We're going to look for a year's worth of data plus a month. So I'm going to go to 13 months back. And the reason we're adding a month to this is that it takes a little bit of time for the indicators of the strategy to function within the time set. So we want to give it enough time so that we get a full 12 months worth of data. And then the final thing we're going to do here is we're going to change the time zone to exchange. Okay, exchange is very important. This just allows us to work on the correct time zone regardless where we are in the world. Okay, so now we have our data loaded. The next thing we're going to go do is insert a strategy. We're going to go to Add Strategy, and we're going to add the P1 Strategy Architect. Okay? Once this is in, we'll click OK to this. We should see the Select Performance module appear on the right-hand side, and it says No Data Selected because we haven't run a search yet. And now we're going to link the chart analysis window to the P1 Strategy Architect app, and we're going to click refresh. Now what this is going to do is update the strategy analysis piece here so that the symbol, chart interval, and data range should all match exactly what we have on the chart. And this way the chart and the app will talk to each other and share data back and forth as we do our strategy searches. The next step is to define the strategy that we're looking for using the strategy options over here on the apps. So we can choose between swing and day trading. We're going to choose day trade. We can choose our trade direction, which is long only, short only, or both. We're going to go long and short for the strategy. We have our maximum trade risk. Now this represents the maximum risk we're going to take on a minimum trade unit. And a minimum trade unit on a futures contract is a single contract. So we're saying that the maximum that we're willing to risk on a single contract trade or our stop loss amount is going to be $500. Now it might turn out less than this. It might be only $300. The app is going to search for what that best value is and they'll give it to us. But this just represents that biggest value. Maximum trades per day, I'm going to choose three trades, which is the maximum I'd want to do in a day. We're going to set our intraday start time to 8 o'clock. We're going to keep our end time at 1600 or 4 p.m. And then over here we can choose which days we want to trade. So if I unchecked Wednesday, for instance, that would mean it would exclude Wednesdays from all of the rest of the testing. In this case, we're going to choose to trade all 5 days. The next thing I'm going to do here is go to our search filters, and this allows us to define exactly what type of strategies we want to return. The first choice we have here is our fitness function. Now this is the metric that is basically going to define our overall search, and we can choose from a variety of metrics here, including TS index, expectancy, pessimistic rate of return, or perfect profit. But we're just going to choose net profit for this test. For our profit factor range, we're going to choose to have a profit factor between 1.5 and let's say 3. The reason that we have an upper range here for profit factor is that if we find that if we have strategies that have extremely high profit factors, it often is a sign that they're curve fit and that they won't perform in real time the way they will on this historical data. And we want to make sure we have the best chance of success in real trading. Our minimum trade number, we're going to keep this at 180. That just means that we want to have enough trades so that our results are statistically significant. our max drawdown, I'm going to make this $6,000. Now, this is the overall equity drawdown for the system. So we don't want our intraday equity to ever exceed 6,000 for this particular strategy set. And then my average trade, I only want to consider average trades that are over, let's say, $100. So that means this is basically the expectancy for each trade. The next thing we're going to do is go to this data selection, and we're going to choose how much out of sample data we want to use in our testing. And in this case, I'm going to choose 20% of the data that's used for this testing is going to be out of sample. And the reason we do this is that we want to try to avoid curve fitting, or in other words, having a strategy that only works on this historical data. And by introducing some out-of-sample data or data that the strategy has not tested on, it gives us a higher probability that this strategy will not be curve fit, and then it has a higher percentage or higher probability of performing in real trading. So in this scenario, 80% of the data is what it's going to test on, and then it's going to apply this to 20% that it hasn't seen before. The next section we have here are the artificial intelligence settings, or the AI settings. And this allows us to define the different operators within the genetic algorithm. And for this example, we're going to go ahead and just keep it at its default levels and let it do its standard search. So now that this is set up, we're ready to begin the search, and click the search button and we'll get it started. Now you'll notice now that the search is in progress, we see this chart updating on the lower left-hand corner here of the strategy of the P1 Strategy Architect app. And what this is letting us know is this is showing us the progress of the search. So along the y-axis, this represents net profit, which we chose as our fitness function. So it's going to be continually looking for values that have a better fitness function or a better net profit. And we'll see that as this continues to stair step up. So as this creates better combinations of strategy inputs, it's going to give us better and better values. So it'll never go down, it'll always go up. Okay, now that we've completed a search of the P1 Strategy Architect, we can now see a list of strategies that all meet the criteria that we set out in the initial search filters. The highlighted row on top here shows us which strategy is being projected onto the chart window and the selected performance module. And so by clicking on this left-hand column, we can actually look for different strategies. We can also sort these by the different metrics, these different column headings. Quick overview, on the right-hand side here, we have our selected performance module, and this just shows us the equity curve of the strategy, that yellow line, versus what their buy and hold or benchmark equivalent would be. We have a couple additional things that we can look at here. If we go to the zoom button, we can click on the zoom, and this gives us just a larger view of this equity curve along with two averages, and we can control the length of those averages and a daily benchmark. And this is interactive, so if I click on this, for instance, I can take off the benchmarks, or I could take off each of the averages. The averages are just sometimes helpful to let us know when the strategy has reached a drawdown period. Additionally, if we click and hold on any point in the chart, it's going to show us what the profit is at that point in time, as well as some information about the trade number and the specifics of where those averages are. The other thing that's interesting that we can look at is if we click this day button, we come up with a submenu of equity curves per individual day. So this kind of allows us to analyze which days could potentially be most profitable for the strategies, or to focus on days, or to take out days that might be showing a loss. In this case, all of our days show profitability. Tuesday is certainly our least profitable day, with every other day contributing a little bit more to the bottom line. So this just gives us a little bit of a more microscopic view of each strategy. Now, if I want to save this entire strategy analysis list, I can click the Write to File button, and this will go ahead and save this in this location. So I can pull this up at any other time and look for the inputs. And then the other thing that's really helpful here is along the top left-hand edge of the screen, we have an input section which shows us what those inputs are. And if we click on this, we can actually get a little bit more detail in terms of what values for the strategy are creating these results. And this can be copied into a different window if we want, or if we wanted to use the P1 strategy version without all the search features, we could just use this and create a trading window for it. All right, and there's one other feature I'll mention here. If you wanted to just view only the strategy, we could do that on the chart. We could do that by using the Chart Unclutter button. And now what we have here is this is just basically a way to just look at the chart and maybe analyze some of the trades here. And if we want to bring the analysis back, we just go up to the upper left-hand corner, click, and it should all come back. Now, one thing that's interesting, I think a very cool way to use the Strategy Architect is that we can also sort through the amount of strategies we have in the strategy analysis list. So for instance, if I wanted to sort this by profit factor, if I wanted to look for the strategy that had the best profit factor, I would just click on that column, and you can see now I'm coming up with a different strategy here. Or a different list of strategies. And as I go down the list, if I were just to kind of go from 97, the number 97 is at 47K, 71 is at 52. Number 9 is actually the one that has the highest profit factor, but also looks like it gives us the highest yield or highest net profit. So if I click on that, you'll notice that now everything is going to update and come to that number 9. It'll also be highlighted in the list here so we can look at this particular strategy. So any individual strategy in this list can be analyzed that way if we wish to do so. And then once we decide on the strategy that we want, we just record our inputs and we can convert this to the next chart. Well, that's the end of our P1 Strategy Architect search for now. Please check out our other instructional videos at powerzonetrading.com. Thanks for watching.